Hello, my name is Nilab, and in this video I'm going to show you how I created this cover illustration of my ebook in Adobe Illustrator. If you have never used Adobe Illustrator, this video is for you because the best part is I created this entire illustration using only 3 tools in Adobe Illustrator, which only takes about 10 minutes to learn. You don't have to be overwhelmed by the complicated and so many tools you see in Adobe Illustrator. You can do 90% of the work by using only these 3 tools, and if you are just starting out, this video is going to help you get over that fear. In the rest of the video, I broke down the process from design to completing the illustration. So just follow along step by step and you can convert any of your drawing into scalable vectors in Illustrator. Let's get started. This is the final book design, and here is the complete illustration that I created in Illustrator. I started sketching some characters for the cover. I really wanted to have the illustration to have a human face, so wanted to explore some diversity of characters and also different styles, maybe some cartoony and some realistic. And then I finalized on these 3 characters. I used Procreate to clean up the characters and try out some colors. I wanted the illustration to have bold colors to make it more eye-catching and trendy. After some experiments, I finalized the composition and tried the typography for the title. Now, before actually starting vectorization of the design inside Adobe Illustrator, I wanted to try auto tracing option, the image tracing option in Illustrator in the newer versions, but that didn't really work as none of the options, even the high fidelity options, was not giving me clean shapes to work with. I tried it multiple times and didn't really like it, so let's just start creating good old shapes with the manual recreation method. So let me simply show you what 3 main tools we are going to use to create the entire illustration. We have Illustrator open. Let's click on new file and let's select A4 for now. We can change this anytime later. So this is the UI of the Illustrator. Don't get overwhelmed with all the information and tools that you see. We are not going to use 99% of the tools that you see on the screen. Your interface might look different, but you can just adjust it by going to Window, Workspace, and if it is on Essentials, just reset the Essentials or any workspace that you have open. Now you can see the toolbar is here at the left, the document is in the middle. You can press spacebar and hold spacebar and drag it, and you have these properties, layers and libraries panel, right? We are just going to use the layers and properties for now. So this is layer 1, it's as simple as that. And I want to directly jump into showing you the 3 tools that we're going to use. The first one is the pen tool here. So you can just hover over it and you'll see how the pen tool works. It's a good quick help by Illustrator itself, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Let's click on this and you have this fill and stroke, right? The fill color and the stroke color. You can flip them or you can change the color as well. So if I click and just hover, you can see a preview of where that line will appear. I'll click this again and again and just close the shape, and when the shape is closed, the color will be filled inside that shape. Right now it's white, so if I just select this shape and double click on this color, I can change the color of the shape, and you can see a black stroke here as well. It's appearing black because we have selected black color. I can change that. Just select the shape, double click on this and change the shape of the color. Now if you want to change the width of the stroke, just go to properties, select the shape first, go to properties, and you can see fill and stroke here. You can change the color from here as well, and if you increase the stroke width, you'll see the stroke is thickening. I've just changed the color to dark blue so it's more visible, and that's how pen tool works. It's as simple as that. But when I select the pen tool, I'll click on the document, and then if I click and drag, I'll get a Bezier handle and a smooth shape, right? So I can click and drag the shape, and for the next click you again see the preview of how the shape line will come to be. And if I click and drag again and again, I can get a smoother shape and smoother corners, right? So I can just create this same triangle by clicking and dragging a little bit so that it's more smooth. Alright, and then if I want to manipulate these Bezier handles, just press A on the keyboard or just go to the tool, which is the direct selection tool just above the pen tool. It's part of a pen tool, but it's just to modify the vertices. Okay, so you can click and select the vertices and adjust the Bezier handles to manipulate the shape. And even with this much of information, you can create most of the graphics that you want. It's as simple as that. You can narrow this down or just drag it to make it more smooth or sharper. All right, now coming back to the pen tool, if I just click on the same vertex, it will just delete the vertex without breaking the shape. Alright, so I can just delete this. You can see a minus appear in front of the pen tool, and on the shape itself, if I select the shape and just click anywhere, it will add an anchor point as well. So you can see a plus on the pen tool. If I want more, and then pressing A, I go back to the direct selection tool and adjust the shape however I want. Alright, now let's say if this is a smooth vertex and I want to sharpen it, instead of doing this manually, I can simply click and hold on the pen tool and go to anchor point tool, which is a sub tool of the pen tool. Now don't get confused, we are still working with only pen tool. I'm going to the anchor point tool and just clicking it. You can see the icon change when I hover over the vertex. I'll click this and it becomes sharp, and I can click and drag this again to bring back the Bezier handle. And also with the same tool, I can manipulate part of the Bezier handle, just the half part of it. So I have a sharp shape and a smooth one coming out of it. So if I want this to be sharp, I'll just drag it down. But if I want, because with direct selection tool, both of the handles are manipulated. If I want to only change one part of it, I go back to the anchor point tool and just adjust the handle. Now this gives you 100% freedom of creating any shape that you want. All right, and that's it. That's the pen tool that you need to understand. And if you want to select the whole shape, just press V on the keyboard for the selection tool, which is just a selection of the shapes. It selects the entire tool without selecting the path or the vertices. Now we have covered the pen tool, which is the most important tool in Illustrator, and you can create 100% of your designs with that tool. And now let's go to the next one, which is the shape builder tool. All right, and this is also very easy to understand. You can see the preview here. So let's say I have these two shapes and I want to work with both of them. So I'll just select both of the shapes, go to the shape builder tool. All right, and if I just hover over the shapes, you can see the part where it overlaps as well separately. So and you can see the plus icon appear. So if I click and drag through all three shapes, it will merge them into one. All right, so let me delete this, and let's say I create something like this, and I have a arrow, and if I just want them to work together, I don't want a outline in between, so I'll select both the tools, go to shape builder tool. All right, and just drag through it, and now this entire shape is one shape. This comes in very handy if you want to use basic shapes to make a complex one. In a similar way, if I want to cut this shape out of this, I can do that as well. I'll select this, again go to shape builder tool, and when it says plus on the icon, I can hold Alt and just click on the part which I don't want. So for example, I don't want this, so I'll click on it, and you can see that this shape is retained but the other part is gone. All right, and I can do the same thing while clicking here. So the part where both the shapes meet is directly gone. All right, so let's say if I have a circle and I want to cut a triangle out of it, let's say just a part of it, I can select this, go to shape builder tool and hold Alt and then just drag over it. So I cut a clean shape out of the another one. All right, trust me, this shape builder tool comes very handy. It was previously called Pathfinder, which you can even now find in the menu, but this way it's much easier. So that's our second tool that you need to know, and let's now go to the third important one, which is the width tool. All right, so let's say I create a shape, something like this, and you can see the stroke is pretty consistent. You can change that while clicking on this properties panel. Just click on the stroke. Now you can have the end caps as smooth, and even the angles as the corners as smooth. But if I want variable width throughout the stroke, which comes in very handy when you want to have some accents to your illustration, so let's just click on this width tool. The shortcut to this is Shift W, and even in the preview animation you can see how it works. Let's just click on that, and anywhere on the stroke I can just click and drag to increase the width and also decrease the width if I want. So I can have very dynamic strokes throughout my illustrations. All right, and this looks much more organic. Now let's just the fill is not working here as it's just a stroke, so we can just make the fill come in front and click on this none icon. Okay, so this will just remove the fill color out of it. And if I want to flip this, if I want to have fill but not stroke, I can just click on this flip icon here. So now I don't have stroke but I have the fill, and I can flip this back again. But remember that the width goes to 1 again. If you do that, you just have to go to stroke, make it round capped, and with Shift W just click on the shape, the stroke width tool, and adjust the width as you want. Alright, so those are the 3 tools that you need to know to create the entire illustration, like the cover illustration I did for my book. The pen tool first and foremost, where you can create strokes. Alright, and beneath the pen tool, the anchor point tool and the direct selection tool. It's part of the pen tool itself. Then we have the shape builder tool, where you can merge shapes and remove shapes from one another. And then you have the stroke width tool. That's all the Illustrator you need to know to create almost 99% of your illustrations. Of course, there are many other tools like the brush tool, the text tools. The shape tools are pretty simple to understand. It's just shapes. You can click and drag shapes on your canvas. Then you have the eyedropper and all the other tools which you really don't need to know. You can explore that on your own anytime later. Now let's get started with our illustration using only these 3 tools. Now let's take the pen tool and let's sort our layers first. I have the reference on a locked layer and I've created a new layer for the head. Just rename those layers because it's always good to stay organized. Now I have sped up this video because we have already talked about the tools, and you can see that I'm using the pen tool to create outlines. And when we have the Bezier handle tools, you can just press A, or with the pen tool, if you go to the handle precisely, you'll be able to manipulate the curves. You can click on any vertex to make it sharp again if you don't want the Bezier handle to be smooth going forward. Just click and drag and keep on adjusting the curves to get your desired shape. You can see I am designing the entire face outline here, and then I will add some shapes for the teeth and the beard, etc. I want to keep the shapes as clean as possible, so I'm using minimum vertices, but wherever you feel that you need to change the shape, you can add vertices if you click on the stroke itself. But in general, the less clutter the better. Now you can see the entire head shape is ready in outline, and if I just select the fill part, an eyedropper comes in and I can pick up the color of the reference itself, and the color gets filled into the shape. But if I do that, I'll not be able to see what's behind that, so the reference will not be visible, and that is where I want just the outlines for now, and then we can easily fill the color later on. So let's just refine the shape, and then you can reverse the fill and stroke to have a solid looking shape. As you can see, I had already created the hat, the cap, and that itself is a complete shape. Now the cap will be in two parts, the back and the front. Let's go back to the layer stack and click and drag our reference layer on top of the other layers. So no matter how many shapes or color fills we create, the reference will always be visible. This way I'll be able to fill the color in the face, which may not look correct as per the original drawing, but you can see if I turn off the references, the solid shape is visible, and I can keep on filling those shapes and keep on creating more shapes without losing the guidance of my reference. And here let's create the front part of the cap. Like I said, if you want anywhere in the line, you'll see a plus icon for the pen tool, and you can just add a vertex there. And if you lose the connection, just click on the last vertex you created and the line will continue as one shape. So we just need to cover the front part of the head, and here you can see that the head is now inside the cap because we created a front part. So the head part is sandwiched between these two parts, okay? And if you want a quick preview, you can press Command or Control Y to see only the outlines and not the fill. It gives you a good idea of what drawings you are creating exactly. Now let's create the beard shape, and you might notice that this time I have not selected the stroke but the fill, and so the fill is happening as we go creating the shape itself. Now I just want to go out of the shape a little bit when the edges comes in, because I want to cleanly cut them off or mask them with the face shape. Okay, so I am going a little bit out of the outlines. There we go. So we have two shapes. Let's press Command Y to see the outlines. The face shape and the beard shape, which is a bit outside of the outline of the face. This is where the shape tool now comes in very handy. Let's select the shape tool. You can see that there is the outside portion. Press Alt or Option and just click on those portions to cut them off. So the shape behind, which is the face, is masking the shape which is in the front or the selected part with the shape tool. It's very easy, and now we have very clean outlines. Let's press Command Y to quickly see our shapes. We have the cap, the beard, the face, and the back of the cap. Now let's start creating the ear. We already have the fill color selected. Let's just create an oval shape to create the ear. It will come in front of the cap, so it will just be a simple shape. As I had already shown you, there are certain tools you can use to manipulate the shapes. There is one which is called point selection tool. So you can select any vertex or point with that tool, and if you just select V on the keyboard, you can select the entire shape. And with the pen tool, if you click on any point or vertex, a minus sign will appear and you can delete those shapes. So let's go ahead and start creating the eyebrow. The process is the same throughout the illustration. Just click and drag and then refine with the Bezier handles. In the same way, we will create the teeth shape. We'll just take it out a little of the face shape so that we can mask it out with the shape builder tool. And again, if you have a sharp point, just go and select the anchor point tool and then click and drag that point to get the Bezier handles and refine the shape. Now select both the shapes once again, and with the shape tool, delete the shape which is outside the main shape. Let's just refine this point a little bit. Sometimes if you are in a clutter, just delete the vertices, and that usually cleans up the shapes, and then you can keep on adding the vertices as you want. Now without selecting anything, let's just flip the fill to the stroke and create the outline of the ear. Don't worry about it being very perfect. You can just refine it later with the Bezier handles as you want. We have a certain stroke width here. And now let's make it a bit dynamic with the width tool, the shape or stroke width tool to be precise. Just click and drag on any point of that stroke to make it thicker or thinner. This will give the stroke a lot of character, and you can just refine it. Go to stroke properties, have some smooth end caps. Let's create this outline as well, and do the same thing with the stroke width tool. Remember to not go too sharp here, as we don't want very edgy points in this illustration. If that is the style of your illustration, you can do that, but in this scenario I want a little bit of soft edges and ends. Now let's create the eyes. As these are the eyes, it has to be very precise. Let's create the strokes in the same fashion, and then we will give them the stroke width for a bit of weightage at the front. So it's just a game of thick and thin with the strokes. And let's take the ellipse tool, the shape tool, and create a circle here. Just pick the color of the hat so it's black again, and adjust it as per the drawing. Now let's create the eye white. It will just be a white shape which will be behind these outlines and the eyeball. Let's pick the white color from the teeth and just make it go behind. You can do that while selecting the shape and pressing Command or Control and right or left bracket. This will arrange the shape coming to the front or the back. Let's give the eyelash a thicker one and just refine the endpoints, and there you go, we have the eye shape. Now let's create another circle of white color to give a glint in the eye. Create the same type of shapes for the other eye as well. Now I have a sharpened stroke because I want the outline of the nose, and then it just merges out when the it's coming out from the face shape. Remember, this is a sped up video, so if this is too fast for you, you can pause the video anytime and just have a look at the techniques that I'm using. But it's pretty much simple all around. I just want to see how it looks in front of the blue color that I have in my original illustration. So I just created a square and put it behind. Let's take the reference, duplicate of the reference away and out of the canvas so that we can pick colors properly this time and see how the illustration is coming up. I think it's looking pretty nice. Now let's create another layer by clicking here and rename that to headphones. Let's start creating the shapes of the headphones. To simplify the shapes, you have to break down the drawing into basic shapes. So the headphones have those circles. Let's take the circle shape, press shift while dragging so you have an exact round circle and not an oval one. And let's create the outline. You can duplicate the same shape by pressing Alt and dragging the shape somewhere out or scaling it. Now let's create the band which will be behind the neck. And then the other side of it. So this will also be kind of behind the neck itself, and then I'll have a front part just like we did with the cap. I'm just picking the colors with the color picker tool. If you're not clicked on shape or stroke, you can simply press I to get the color picker tool, and wherever you click, the shape will pick the color from that reference. So like I said, you can arrange the shapes to come in front or back. You can right click them and go to arrange as well, or you can just press command or control right or left bracket. Let's create another oval for the front part of the headphone and do the same thing with creating the shapes. Again, just break it down to simple shapes and then merge all of them together to create your illustration. Now you can see that the circle has the entire stroke, which we don't want. I just want some part of it. So you can use a new tool called cut tool to just cut the stroke wherever you want. Just press C on the keyboard. Just get the stroke, and wherever you want to cut it, because I only have half the strokes there as a part of my illustration, so I want to cut the shape to only include that part in the stroke. So it's a complete shape, just cut it down with the cut tool and delete the rest of the part. Now let's create the front part of the band of the headphone. Just match it to the part which is behind, and the headphone is ready. Make sure you zoom in and refine those edges and overlaps to the shape. This will give your illustration a professional edge. Just make sure that all loose ends are tied up. Click on stroke and use a round cap, and then use the shape width tool to have the variation in the stroke. And also make sure that the fill shapes align with the stroke shapes if they are separate. Now I have changed the color of the headphone and this looks nice. Just refine the shapes or perspectives or any stroke if you like. And let's move on to the next part. Create another layer. Let's put it behind all the other layers. This will be for the shirt or the collar. Now again I'm going to create the entire shape first and then give it stroke with a different color and break it down into different shapes. This way it's much easier to plan and create, otherwise you might feel overwhelmed with so much details in any type of illustration. So just go on and create basic simple shapes with minimum vertices or points, and then you can go into adding details. You can see it's already looking good. Now all I have to do is add some strokes to it, and bag, the shape of the bag which will be behind, and then the straps which will be in front of the body. Now our bag is also ready, and I'm just going to put it behind with arrange and send backward. So if I turn off the reference, this is how the illustration looks so far. All we need to do is add the straps of the bag and the outlines for his shirt. Let's do that quickly. And now let's do the other side as well. Now this stroke point is going out of the cap. You can click on the stroke and go to the cap, adjust it to stroke cap or butt cap or a round cap. You can adjust this however you like. Now let's start adding the details with a blue stroke, the outline to the shirt. And again with a round cap to the end points, and with the stroke width tools make it more dynamic. Make it have some perspective and weight to the strokes. Let's do the same thing to the other parts, the highlights and the front part of the strap, as well as the outlines, a few of the outlines of the shirt. Now coming to the last part, the details of the bag strap. And the chains. Here we have our complete illustration for one character ready, and let's just add the background to see how it looks. I want to give it the same color as the stroke so that the stroke merges with the background. And this is looking really good. Now exactly the same principles are to be used for other characters as well. I'm not going to go through all the other characters here in this tutorial, but it's the exact same process. Break down the shapes, simple shapes like I'm doing here with the face and the hair, and then you can add on details with the strokes to the shapes to make it complete. Just make sure you have the shapes in front and back. You're arranging the shapes properly, having some weight to the strokes with the stroke width tool, which is just fantastic in Illustrator, and you'll finish your illustration in no time. As promised, we only use 3 tools to create the entire illustration. So as I said, don't get overwhelmed with the software. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you have any questions, comment down below and I'll see you next time.